and welcome to another episode of Laying Down the Lore 40K, a lore podcast in which we aim to separate our Drukhari from our Dark Angels, our Tyranids from our Tau, and our Craft Worlds from our Chaos Marines, and generally ask, what's up with this Warhammer 40K stuff? My name is Ben Crone Barber, and I know pretty much fuck all about 40K. With me is my co-host Christopher Cral and Alan.
Morning.
Who knows absolutely fuck all about 40K.
Morning.
And my dear brother Darren.
Who
knows so much about 40K, it's a wonder he has time to do anything else.
Yep.
Over the years, this dichotomy between our levels of understanding became clear, and this series is an attempt to address that ignorance.
Boo. There you go, just for variety. Boo. Not this shitty podcast again. Boo.
That's the spirit, chaps. I enjoy these early morning records because there's, we're half asleep, but there's a bit of a struggle right at the start, isn't there?
It is, but like
a little bit.
I'm willing, I've got the spirit in me. The spirit just hasn't quite woken up yet.
We've got to coax the spirit out of Cral.
Yeah.
Have you had breakfast yet?
I've had brunch already, mate. It's been up that long. I've had supper.
What did you have for breakfast?
I had. Are you sitting down for this? Fruit smoothie. Remember the classic Cral fruit smoothies?
Yeah,
I'm still doing them, mate. Still doing them.
Is it just berry heavy? It comes out like maroon.
It's pretty berry heavy. Some pineapple, some banana, bit of yogurt in it, orange juice. Top it up with a bit of water. Bish bash bosh, bada bing, bada bomb. Couple of crumpets with some peanut butter, and now I'm enjoying a coffee.
What did you have, Dar?
I have just started my first cup of coffee after bundling my two kids off to school. No smoothies involved.
No solids.
No solids. Just playing it real fast and loose.
Chris, when you get to my age, you avoid all the solids you can.
Well, no, it's just chewing takes up so much energy. If I can just, I had soup for dinner last night and coffee this morning.
Let's guess what Ben had for breakfast this morning.
Go.
Ben had, he's a pretty fucking butch guy. Steak and eggs with a side of lasagna or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
The truth is so completely polar opposite to that. Yeah, I'm ashamed to.
Lasagna and eggs and a bowl of steak.
I had a pack of chocolate buttons.
Oh, you filthy bastard. Why?
Because they were in the fridge. In fact, I'll be honest with you, I got home.
Who keeps buttons in the fridge? Hang on a second. Stop the podcast. This is a revelation.
Chocolate in the fridge.
Keep chocolate
in the freezer is even, you want to take it up another level. Yeah, cold chocolate's the one, man. The problem I have with chocolate is
I feel like self-harming. I don't know what's happening.
Problem I have with chocolate is I can't, there's no off button. So the best that I can do is slow the rate of consumption. And I find when it's cold, it does that.
There is actually an off button for chocolate. There is. There's been a study. It's in your prostate.
You got to dig real deep.
And we will not be getting into the details of that because we're going to move on to the support requests. So, keeping that mental image in place, a big thank you to everyone that supports the show. You guys are great. If you would like to support the show and you're not already doing so, there are a number of ways that you can do that. You can head over to Patreon, where you can sign up for our Discord for just £3 a month. Or you can pay an extra £2 and gain access to our new bonus show, 40KO'd, which is, it's a bonus show. It's just more of this. It's great. We also have merchandise and links to our affiliates. If you're into the hobby, just hit the Quartermaster link in the description and bam, send us all your money. And we'll keep doing this. Also, this episode may include some ads that help us create more content for free. So the easiest way that you can support us is just by letting those play fully. And we'll love you eternally for it.
Eternally? Do you mean long time?
Forever and ever?
I do mean long. No, Chris means long time.
Yes, Chris means long time.
But we won't make him say it because it's culturally inappropriate. Now, Kralestein.
Yeah?
You know what time it is?
It's far too early.
Yeah, it's 8 o'clock in the morning.
Citizen of the Imperium, it's time for frontal lobotomy or bottle in front of me.
Yay!
Hooray for... Yes.
Okay.
I looked at every avenue I could go with the rest of that and thought, no, it's all wildly inappropriate.
I love how we just got to stumble into these morning records, just like say
Yeah,
that,
into.
whatever happened.
Not through, into.
Dunk.
I also like the way that it's get on 40K. It's more of this. Does it even have less structure?
Well, I tell you what, we'll leave it up to people to find out. Now that I'm done with my monkey impression, let's fucking crack on. Cral, I hope that smoothie was supercharged this morning because
why?
Because I've got three questions for you, and you haven't done so well last time. You got none right, which basically is 0%. Basically,
the math on this guy, Darren. I mean,
right? Yeah. 0
he
to
definitely
3.
got the brains, didn't he?
10%. What?
Right. What did we talk about last episode, Cral?
The two.
The two. That's right. Fucking space camels.
Two. Space camels,
Right.
man. Which I freaking love.
Question 1.
Yeah. Go.
What is the greater good?
What is the greater good?
I thought you asked what is the greater goose. I was like, what?
Squawk.
Honk. Squawk.
He's a naughty. That was a particularly naughty goose. So.
The greater good, is it like a Tau concept that they are all part of a bigger thing? It's not about the individual, but the bigger Tau thing. I'm just absolutely guessing here, but it sounds pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, isn't it? Space communism. Yeah, solid start, Cral.
Some of the total parts kind of thing.
Exactly. 1 out of 1, which basically that's 100% so far.
Follow-up question.
Yep.
Darren Barber laying down the lore. What is the greater goose?
Cral, is it A, squawk, B, squeak, or C, honk?
Honk, honk.
Fine, I'll give you a bonus point for that.
Okay.
Hooray!
Hooray! Right, question 2. What was the name of the Tau goddess?
Oh yeah, the faceless wonder.
Mrs. Tau.
Ms. Tau, actually, Darren.
Oh, I beg your pardon. She is her own entity. That is true.
Didn't she share the name with some, I don't know, was it a Greek or Roman god? Odessa? Ravenna? No. Odessa's a place in somewhere. Ravenna.
Tell you what,
Sigmar's darling / mother / girlfriend.
/ sister.
Jesus, is everything all right at home, Chris?
Sabrina.
Sabrina, yes. Yep.
That's it, Sabrina. Yeah.
Can't remember. But she had no face.
We'll throw you a lifeline on this one. What else? What can you describe what she looked like? Or what she's...
well, she had no face.
Well, other than the face.
And she had loads of arms.
That's the one.
She had a head but no face.
Head but no face. I think you're loads and loads of arms.
I think you're maybe basing it on like her image is similar to
but hope.
Hindu gods, isn't it?
Yeah.
She was called Tauva. Taunva. Yeah.
Tauva. Okay, so she didn't share a name with anyone. Okay, fine. All right.
No,
she did share some imagery, some iconography. So,
dear, this isn't going very well.
It's not going great. I mean, you've got 1 out of 2, which is basically 50%.
Yeah, but he got a bonus point, so he's still got 2 out of 2 on 3 questions.
Okay, was that bonus point?
Yeah,
which is basically 66%. What was the Kroot race's special ability? Do you remember the Kroot?
I remember the Kroot. The Kroot were the foot soldiers, weren't they? They were kind of the rank and file type infantry. The meat shields, if you like. Let's just say it as it is. They were the meat shields of the Tau.
They were the meat shields.
They are. Was it this? Is there a seer? Or was that a Tau seer, like the special dude who's like a kind of
there was
general
a
mage
dude.
type person?
He wasn't a mage though. He did something
It's a
else.
Kroot shaper.
Kroot shaper.
The word shaper should help you.
Yeah. It sure did help, Darren.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was biohacking. So they basically are able. Is it they eat and then absorb the abilities? Yeah, so they can absorb the abilities of the things.
Yeah, and then go through RNA replication.
There you go.
Interestingly, did you know that DNA wasn't its original name? Deoxynucleic blah 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 acid. It was actually, as it was being presented, the guy had finished with the slides and went, "Da-na."
Oh, I'm dying inside.
I don't know.
I didn't know.
You should have some more cold chocolate, you freak.
I reckon cold chocolate is more popular than you think.
I have it. We have it.
Exactly. There are exactly 2 of the 3 hosts of this show, and that's basically 66%.
You're the minority, Darren.
Thanks.
Right. Okay. Well, I think.
Bet you dip it in warm yogurt and everything, you weirdos.
Yeah, Heston Blumenthal it. I take something cold and something hot, and then smoosh them together and make something warm.
Wow.
I guess
Priya's a lucky lady.
But enough about my love life.
What, warm yogurt?
That is also how it's known in the industry. Yes, Cral, you got 2 out of 4 there, which is basically.
Did I? I'm surprised I even got that.
That makes 2 of us, buddy.
And I really like the Tau, which is annoying. So yeah, tell us more facts, which I won't obviously retain, please, Darren.
Yeah, man.
Oh, what a motivation that is.
Tell me things to forget.
Right, so this is the second and final part of the Tau episodes. It's still an introduction. When we do the main deep dive, will be like 1 million goddamn episodes on every single faction, again and again and again and again, from all different angles, wave after wave of my own facts. We talked about the Tau, where they exist, and I want to very quickly pop up a map. You know I love a good map, and we'll stick it in the show notes. Now, do you see in the kind of bottom right corner, there's a white-ish hexagon?
Bottom right corner.
Yeah.
Tau Empire.
That's the extent of the Tau Empire. It's tiny.
Aww.
That's so cute. How many worlds exist in that little hexagon?
There are, well, it's more systems, really. There are 30 to 40 systems within that region of space, all of which are within kind of the Tau Empire, not all of them populated. And so the Imperium has a record of about 20 septs. So SEPT, septs. And that is the word to describe a system that has been greater goosed. So they are it's where the Tau have completely, I would say, feathered the system with eggs of greater good.
Nice. Can we just take a moment to acknowledge the system that's just slightly north of the Tau Empire? Schindelgeist.
I was about to highlight, I think, the same thing as what you're about to say, Ben. You were saying that phenomenon where you get the first letter and the last letter of a word or sentence and you muddle up the middle bit a bit. At a glance, what do you think sprung to mind?
I'm not gonna. I don't. I'm not touching that, Cral. I just.
Okay, you're fine. Yeah.
Schindler's Lifts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Wow.
There is actually a company called Schindler that makes lifts.
Yeah, I get in them all the time. Every week I'm in a Schindler's Lift, and it is. Yeah. They were around way before the film came out. That film must have been launched, and they were like, "Guys, better call the marketing team. This is a fucking problem." So just next to Tau Empire, it says hijinx anomaly. What's that? Is that part of the big tear?
It's like a normal hijinx, but it's slightly twisted.
Picture a normal hijinx. It also sounds like one of those novels. Do you remember Robert De Niro played the? Was it? They were doing a mock. Was it Darren Brown or something on Saturday Night Live?
Yeah,
the Marmaduke Conundrum or something.
Yeah,
the hijinx,
the abacus conundrum.
The Tau believed in their little corner of the galaxy that they were the most advanced and the most enlightened, and because they had conquered a number of systems and kind of brought their populace into the Tau Empire, for instance, like the Kroot or the Vespid, the Stingwings, as they're called, they believed that they were, they had many millions of beings within their empire. So each Tau system or sept has its own defined culture, and that culture is based on the percentage of each caste that is in that system. Ben, very quick question. Name the castes.
Earth, wind, fire, and water.
Do you remember?
September.
Yes, all under the guideship of their the kind of priest leadership, which are known, Chris, as
disco people.
Correct.
Yeah, Disco Tau.
Disco Tau. Ethereals.
Yeah. Sorry, it was only three of those four that I mentioned, isn't it? Is that right? Or is
no,
it
you mentioned all four. Yeah,
it's four elements, and then there's is it a fifth? Then or the ethereal?
Yes, they are a de facto caste, but they are tiny percentage compared to all of the other castes because they have weird, suddenly appearing vibes rather than, oh, have you met my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Ethereal?
Oh, just appear awkwardly in really annoying situations.
Yeah, just kind of sidle into conversation now.
I just love the idea that you're chatting to your mates and you suddenly look up and there's an ethereal spread arm and legs spread out on the walls of a corridor, and he just drops down.
Oh, hi guys. Hi, yeah, I was just appearing.
I was here the whole time. No.
Yeah. I know you didn't invite me to your housewarming, but I'd love to come in. So the Tau began on one world named Tau. So, original.
Wow.
And they have slowly expanded out their empire over the space of about 3,500 to 4,000 years. They've done this through 6, what's referred to as spheres of expansion, which is great. It's like the hand of Nagash. Do something of someone. And so I thought what we'd do is just go through all 6 in excruciating detail on this 10-hour episode of Laying Down the Law.
I quit.
So the first sphere of expansion lasted about 1,400 years. Started off in the middle of the 37th millennium, ended up towards the end of the 38th. And this was their first great kind of splurge into space.
The great splurging of the Tau.
The greater splurge. Yeah. And so what happened was, if you recall, the kind of start date or the evolution of the Tau seemed to have been accelerated. And so you went from about the mid-35th millennium, they were really still in a kind of stone age. And then within 1,500 years, they were now sending out colony ships out into the void to populate other systems. These really were, I suppose I should say, colony ships, because as we discussed last episode, they don't have warp travel as we would understand it at that time. But under the protection of the Firecast, which are the warriors, the expansion kind of blossomed into a great success with 8 major kind of seps, major hubs of Tau activity being created during that time. And so the first Tau colony is simply called Town. So they went on the town. TAU''N. There's a lot of apostrophes in Tau names. It gets a
Tau
bit...
this, Tau that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pass me my towel.
Nice.
Tau.
Nice. Nailed it.
No, that was lame. You can just say it as it is. It was terrible. It was tolerable. Huh?
That was terrible. Last mention of this map, Cral, have you seen what's even more directly north of the Tau Empire?
Directly north?
Yep.
Your mama monolith?
No, the YMCA monolith.
Still your mama.
Yigma.
Your mama. That's what I said.
your mama.
Listeners, there are times when I really regret bringing visual medium into this because the guys just go off on their own kind of tangents.
Let's be distracted for a bit, Ben. Screw the Tau for a minute. Let's look at funny names.
Have you seen? Okay, let's have a look. What else we got here? I did notice that one of the Wu-Tang clan has got a one there as well, just next to Segmentum Solar. Rizza.
What? Old Dirty
just to the
Bastard?
east.
What?
Yeah, the planet of Old Dirty Bastard.
Griffiny 4.
Oh, sounds
I love
hot.
the Griffins, don't they? Yeah, I'm bored of this now.
Yeah, nothing else funny.
Yeah. So Town is really, it's their major aircast kind of hub. The system is peppered with orbital docks, shipyards, and void stations, great big kind of white gleaming pearls of Tau construction hanging in orbit above many of the planets. And they have the most kind of warships of any sept within the protection fleet. So this really was, as it was their first colony, it really became the kind of major launching point for the rest of the expansion. One of the other, or a couple of the other septs that were founded during that time is Viorla, Vior''La. Its name translates as hot-blooded, and somewhat ironically, it's a desert. But it produces especially aggressive and powerful and strong members of the fire caste, member of the warrior caste. And so they're the kind of preeminent regiments of the Tau Protection Force are from Viorla. Sacia, S-A''CEA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, all my jokes are just awkward. So it's the...
do you mean just generally, or
just Wouldn't it be great if just in the middle of a podcast, someone just admits some great failing in their life that has nothing to do whatsoever with the thing that they're talking about? Yeah. So just as we're talking about Tar, the Tau, I just want to mention, it reminded me that I'd actually killed a family in a car crash. Anyway, so yes, these
I punched my daughter last night.
Yeah, I'm a terrible father.
I punched my child, and then I went to bed, and I woke up, and I realized I didn't have a child. Who did I punch? Sacia is an even more, how would you describe it, desertified planet than Viorla, if that was possible. So it's the Dune's Dune. And it has an enormous amount of raw materials within it, and it's also one of the most densely populated Tau septs. And again, the colonists for many of the colonization fleets within the first expansion came from Sicily. So you get an
They're
impression
like,
of
get me out of this fucking desert. Like, get me somewhere else.
But there's loads of raw materials. Great.
Yeah, you can have all the sand, pal. Just let me get on that ship. Get me over to Schindelgeist right away.
I think you might have mispronounced that, Ben. It's actually
Schindelgeist.
Whoa.
So at the end of the kind of first 1500 years, I mean, half of the life of the race from Stone Age had been spent in space, which is just, it's crazy.
Wow.
When you say in space, not just on a planet in space, you mean
Just floating.
Among the
not-
stars, rather
among
than
the-
just kind of
yeah,
floating.
because
yeah.
we're all in space.
Yeah, it's not that great, Darren, really.
It's not even 9 o'clock yet. Let's not get existential about this. Right? We all wear masks, metaphorically speaking.
In a way, aren't we all geese? Honk.
I don't know, Darren. Honk.
And a honk to you, sir. While all this was happening, there were great leaps in technology, and one of them was the Horizon Accelerator engine, which was a still sub light speed.
Darren,
It was
I don't
an
think you need
engine.
to explain what a Horizon Accelerator engine is.
I beg. I forgot who I was talking
in the
to. I
child
beg your
technology, mate. Save yourself.
It got them past the need for colony ships, as we would understand them. You know, the ones where it would be a generation or two before they arrive. So they were able to move a lot faster, still sub-light speed, but it allowed them to really push out the boat, I suppose, the space boat. Isn't that the term? Mr. Ben.
How quick would that have been? Like, what kind of percentage of
Speed
light
walking.
Speed walking, was it? Right, okay.
Speed.
What?
Well, I suppose if you consider as fast as you can walk is how fast the colony ships were going, you driving a car is what the Horizon Accelerator
Not literally.
engines allowed them
That's
to do.
relative. That's an example of
Relative,
the relative
yes.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it'll take you a long time to walk to the next planet.
Yeah. But also quite a long time if you're just driving at 60 miles an hour. But I think in relative terms, that makes a lot more sense.
Well, I think this is going very well.
Maybe these early morning records are not such a great idea.
Fueled by this amazing discovery, the Tau pushed out further and conquered or colonized more systems than they had previously been limited to. It's here where they began on the which side? On the western side of their space to butt up against something called the Damocles Gulf, which is a large kind of nova cloudy area of space that separated the Tau Empire from the Imperium. But we are talking about
Just a bit of fog. That was it.
Yeah.
That was the only line
bit
of
fog,
defense.
space fog. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Spog.
But they had the capacity to drive now to other planets, but they didn't have windscreen wipers.
Or fog lights. So the crashes were just happening all the time.
Fog lights in this analogy are active sensors.
Got it.
But because their empire is way out on the fringe of the Imperium, kind of abutting Macragge, as it were, the Ultramarines kind of mini empire.
Abutting your crag.
No. The Tau kind of ambassadors and negotiators began dealing with sort of the local governors of these various systems and planets of humans. Some were able to be brought into the Tau fold through agreement and trade or in some cases conquest. But as this included the Imperium of Man, they were suddenly exposed to a kind of galactic level hate power that they had not conceived as being possible, because as they were
wow, you guys are really cranky. Turns over to the elder. Are these guys always like this? Yeah, they're fucking crazy.
So the second sphere of expansion, which lasted almost a full 2,000 years, I think it was something like 1,800 years, came to an abrupt end when the Imperium war engine began to mobilize against this new incursion and annihilated, decimated, destroyed, and other words that mean the same thing, all the Tau holdings and all their seps and kind of negotiated planets on the westerly side of the Damocles Gulf, and pushed the Tau back into their own territory on the far side of what apparently is very heavy fog. Mr. Chris.
Did the Imperium do this just because they're the Imperium? No other justification needed?
Well, from the Imperium's perspective, it was an alien race trying to take over human planets.
So yes,
planets that
it was just the Imperium
to,
being the Imperium. Yeah, got it. I hate those guys so hard.
Did the Tau ever... Would they have understood the gravity of the situation that they were getting into in terms of, those Imperium worlds along the border being the kind of tip of the iceberg of the kind of the Imperium as a whole? And if they did that, would they have considered some sort of, peace, or, even joining up with them? Not necessarily merging, but like becoming buddies, becoming allies. Was that ever an option for the Tau, or is it literally like greater good says you're either with us or you're against us?
The Tau will make every effort possible to bring a culture into the Tau Empire. Warfare and conquest is always, without kind of reservation, always the last step, the last option that the Tau will have. They will do everything they can possibly to bring a kind of peaceful resolution in terms of the least amount of damaging impact to both cultures, and bring them into the Tau Empire. In terms of, they just view the, humans, until they realize the full kind of scale of the Imperium, they just viewed the humans as another spacefaring race that they were going to bring in. They looked like they had good attitudes, and indeed some of those human planets did enter into agreements with the Tau, and so they were in the process of Tauifying some Imperium worlds, and then Imperium,
and then we're annihilated.
Yeah, there's a great picture, and I'll see if I can find it for the show notes, of Tau talking with Imperial Fist Space Marines, and it's just crazy, the size difference.
Right.
Just like that a Space Marine could literally just assassinate a Tau. Would need a gun.
Okay, so last question on that. So you said that the Tyranids were the big bad. Fast forward to the end of this story, Tyranids, are coming in a fleet the same size as the entire galaxy. If the Tau allied with the Imperium, and the Imperium took on the Tau technology across the board, would they stand a chance against would they be able to beat the Tyranids?
I don't know is my honest answer. There was a kind of a fan creation of, what was it? Was it it may have been some sort of take on the heresy, with different legions becoming chaos and others remaining good. And the Ultramarine one, they had all their equipment looked like just blue Tau armor and blue Tau weapons in the artwork. They didn't have any rules for stuff, but It wouldn't hurt. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
They'd stand a better chance.
Yes, I think so.
I'll accept it.
Now, of course, the Imperium didn't just stop at the edge of the Damocles Gulf. They instituted something called the Damocles Crusade, which not only annihilated, as I said, all Tau holdings on the westerly side, but then penetrated deep into Tau territory and were fought to an absolute standstill at the Dal Yith sept, which is one of the first expansion septs. And so the Tau were absolutely gobsmacked. I mean, they were just standing around going, I don't believe it. There's people as powerful as that. I can't believe it. It is literally that meme of that guy with the tie around his head getting punched in the face and he going, I can't believe you've done this. It's that. That's what the Tau reaction was.
Are they a trusting race, the Tau? They sound somewhat naive in ways, just in kind of the face of impending kind of domination and xenophobia from the Imperium.
Yeah. They're like, we'll talk them round.
We'll come with peace and yada yada. Like, it's like, no, mate, these guys just want to F you in the A.
Yeah,
is naive a fair term for them? Or are they just
I think that's
overly
fair.
hopeful?
I think it's because they genuinely believe in what they're doing. They genuinely believe that peaceful coexistence is in everyone's best interest.
Well, they're not wrong.
Unfortunately,
that's not the reality.
Yeah. If you come into the Tau Empire, you'll be, I think we mentioned it last episode, you'll be given access to almost everything that the Tau have. And in return, just live in peace. That's it. So,
That's fair enough.
And do you think most of the Imperium don't agree with it out of fear of the Emperor and his reign, or just that the Imperium themselves believe that they are superior, or both?
I think that the apparatus of the Imperium can't stand the Tau. Can't stand that there's this empire. First of all, Xenos. Second of all, one that's not, based on tradition or fear or anything like this.
It's different, and we don't like it.
Given that there's millions, possibly tens, possibly even hundreds of millions of humans in the Tau Empire, that kind of speaks for itself in terms of the benefits for the, Joe Imperium, the citizen.
Sure, yeah.
Who's now Joe Tau.
Joe Tau. When you said, what was it? Resistance is, there's no point. As in, it's a good thing to join. I just thought to myself, resistance is futile?
Hey.
No.
Nice.
No. Think about what you've done now.
I can imagine the Tau just coming out with one-liners like that, like, resistance is futile? Shot through the slit.
Yeah, exactly. Bolter, done. Yeah. Just as a palate cleanser, I've just found a planet or a system just on the outskirts of Segmentum Solar that's just called Luther McIntyre. What the fuck? What the fuck is that all about?
Well, that's something we'll cover in one of the Crusade episodes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Luther
McIntyre.
I just love the overly wordy name of Prospero and the Planet of the Sorcerers. Huzzah!
A rumble.
So again, quite a few septs founded within the second expansion. There's Outall, which is a paradise world where it's reserved for heroes of the Tau Empire. The ones that are really successful get to retire to these. It's the entire planet is a Japanese garden. That's how to think of it.
Cool.
You just don't want to move a pebble. It's just so perfect.
Yeah.
Just like you can't walk anywhere.
You can, but you can't bend your knees. You have to just
shuffle on really uncomfortable wooden cloggy sandy thing. I'm in heaven, honestly.
So another great sept is the Tolku, which has the largest percentage of ethereal temples anywhere else. So very much kind of constant Gregorian chanting going on, which, great for a few hours, but just gets irritating after that. And it's where
small market town claim to fame. We have the most ethereal structures in this side of Norwich, or something like.
But it's also where ambassadors from other races are brought to be taught the ways of the Greater Goose and how to assimilate effectively into the Tau Empire. You'll note that it's
a re-education camp.
Yes, it's a re-education camp.
Wow. Okay.
But a beautiful one. But a prison with gold bars is still a prison. As with everything in the Tau Empire, you have to join the Tau Empire. The Tau Empire doesn't change. You have to adopt their traditions. You gain access to all of their equipment as long as you live in peace. And it's peace by the barrel of a gun, really, because they have been known to decimate and destroy members of or alien races within the Tau Empire, just because it was not in the greater good that they continue to exist. And we're going to leave an example of that for the deep dive. Yeah, a little bit.
Not so different.
So towards the end of the second sphere, we see the rise of the kind of great commander of the Tau Empire, Commander Puretide. He is the Miyamoto Musashi kind of character of the Tau Empire. If you know the reference, it's the great kind of samurai warrior priest who wrote the Book of Five Rings. No? Blanking on both of them. So he's the one that effectively codified Bushido in his day-to-day life, the way of the warrior. And he survived, I think it's 67 duels, and just kind of, they're always to the death in Japan. And so he is a proper ledge within the kind of Bushido way of the warrior style culture. So Commander Puretide is that for the Tau. And so much so that as he neared his death at the end of the second expansion, the Ethereals had him. They copied his brain. They transferred his personality into kind of AI neurochips. So he turned into the Cortana of the Tau. And so those chips are surgically embedded into Tau commanders across the empire, so they can draw on his kind of knowledge and wisdom and tactics and strategy in battle and how best to overcome. And so the rise of this Puretide engram neurochip saw the capacity of the Tau Empire to win wars kind of go a factor again. Just they became very, very victorious in their battles.
Love that.
Mr. Chris.
The wisdom of Captain Puretide, or whatever his name was, it sounds like his wisdom and experience was pretty timeless, but did their ways of making war also evolve? Did they welcome new tactics and strategies as well? Or was Puretide's ways so good, it's just like there is not one scenario which we cannot overcome unless we get overcome?
I think in kind of day-to-day specifics, there's a lot of flexibility and leeway. In overall strategy for war, they only have two real ways of making war. One is called Mont'ka, which is the killing blow, and that is the complete overwhelming force on one specific part of the enemy line to the point where it destroys the army from kind of the head down. It's overwhelming firepower is the way to think about it. The other one they have is Kauyon, and that's the Patient Hunter. And that is a glorified ambush. They're trying to draw the enemy forces into a specific position, and that is at scale. It can be a specific enemy squad into an area to be ambushed, or it can be, drawing a fleet into a specific part of a system to be able to destroy it. Cool. And so they usually use some kind of lesser unit as a lure, but the really great ones use voids. They use gaps in their own lines to draw the enemy forces in and then attack them from the flanks.
That's amazing.
Those are the two kind of ways of making warfare writ large for the Tau.
That's how Captain Puretide got famous. Those two ways. The yawning cow.
The gaping badger.
Yeah.
Crouching. Oh my God! There's a gaping badger in the lines. Get in there! Oh no!
Don't look right at it. Why didn't I read my mission specs?
I think my engram's faulty.
Citizens of the Imperium, beware! A shadow looms at the edge of our holy empire. A sinister foe who dares to preach false promises of unity and progress.
The Tau. Small, blue, and full of lies. These heretical Xenos want to trade your faith in the God Emperor for a seat in their so-called greater good.
Greater good? More like greater gullibility. Do not be fooled by their shiny armor, fancy mechs, and suspiciously ergonomic chairs. Their true goal is clear: to strip away your humanity and turn you into their puppet.
Pulse rifles? Cute. Drones? Laughable. Their ethereals? A glorified pyramid scheme. Remember, no Xeno can offer you salvation, only servitude.
So stand firm, loyal servant of the Emperor. Reject the lies of the Tau and their pathetic progressive ideology. Embrace the purity of faith, the glory of war, and the divine right of humanity to burn the galaxy clean.
Think you can trust a species that doesn't even know what faith is? They're practically chaos bait. Report all suspected Tau sympathizers to your local Inquisition office. Remember,
faith is strength, doubt is heresy, and the Emperor protects.
So towards the end of the second sphere of expansion, we have the Great War of Confederation. And this is where the Tau go from having a sort of existential crisis at the existence of the Imperium, the existence and size and effectiveness of the Imperium, to then suddenly being gang probed by not only the Gorgon Hive Fleet of Tyranids, but also by several Orc-Waz. And the kind of Great War lasts for roughly 30 years, where the Tau are, some seps are depopulated, but the use of the Puretide engram neurochip allows Tau commanders to eventually stop and then destroy both the Tyranids and the Orcs, and we'll do a huge deep dive on that, because that's a 2 full episode conversation about that. But during that, we see the rise of a new commander called Shadow Sun. It's a female Tau warrior for whom there is a miniature, and she pilots really kind of sleek stealth armor with two big, huge melta cannons under her arms. I mean, like on her forearms, not in her armpits. That's just weird.
It's like holding them like big barrels, like little hand. There, guys.
Yeah. And she herself is accompanied by a couple of drones that are like shield drones and communication and command drones as well. But she becomes the new darling of the Ethereals. And then we move into the third sphere. So this is in the wake of the withdrawal from Tau space by the Imperium. Remember, they had penetrated right in. But then they withdrew rather quickly because there was the 13th Black Crusade, followed by the opening of the Great Rift. So there were
busy year.
A busy year with hilarious consequences. The Ethereals realized that the Tau had been on the back foot for the bones of, certainly 200 or 300 years. And so there was the existential threat then needed to be cured. And so what they did was they decided to launch a new sphere of expansion, and they picked a young up-and-coming commander called Commander Oshova as this poster boy of the Tau Empire, like the Ultramarines of the Tau Empire. They're the ones that are in all the propaganda, and the commander got every single resource he could possibly want for this third sphere of expansion. And really what happened was a blank check. So they pressed back out again to the full extent that they had with the second sphere of expansion. And so they reconquered a lot of worlds and reconnected with a lot of Tau sects that had been separated. Worlds. Yes, you're doing great with words today, Darren. But eventually, once again, it ground to a halt in the face of Imperium counterattacks, and indeed the kind of realization of what the Great Rift itself represented. We should now talk about, as part of the third sphere of expansion, we'll talk about Commander Oshova. He's also known as Commander Farsight. And he, again, as the poster child of the Tau Empire, really launched a campaign to reconquer ultimately 4, possibly 5, depending on which books you read, former Tau colonies, and to free them from Orkoid possession. He was accompanied by several Ethereals, and all in all, the entire expedition was motivated by showing Tau supremacy. And so this was a real, perhaps did not necessarily have militaristic value, but in terms of shoring up their kind of cultural woes, it was going to do the job. He was an outstanding commander, was part of the kind of Pure Tide coterie, and cleansed planets of orcs, sometimes literally by setting the atmosphere ablaze or parts of the atmosphere ablaze to purge as much of the Orkoid race and trace as much as possible, and ultimately went on to reconquer 4 or 5 of the former Tau Sept worlds that had been lost as part of the contraction of the second sphere expansion. He, clearing world after world, eventually got to a planet called Arthas Moloch, where the kind of final Orc Wa was holding out. The Tau hit them like a hammer and were clearly going to win as they were purging continent after continent of greenskin. Unfortunately, they came across, not literally, but maybe literally, a great dais carved into or carved out of a mountain range, above which held this weird kind of circular rainbow portal, as it turned out. And so as they were killing the orcs, and the orcs were killing the Tau in, I suppose, battle, blood was being scattered all over this. Yeah, blood was being scattered all over this dais, and eventually a chaos demonic legion of Khorne and Tzeentch splurged out of this rainbow portal and started absolutely wiping the floor with everyone. And so initially it was the orcs versus the demons, with some of the Tau being drawn into the battle as well. Farsight, Commander Farsight, I have to leave out so much. Commander Farsight fell unconscious. And
wink.
And his senses, we'll say, had a glimpse of the warp. And when he came back, he was a changed Tau. Not possessed, but just
enlightened in all the wrong ways.
Yeah. The lies of the greater good were stripped from him. So he could see that, the demons exist, the warp exists. The ethereals that were accompanying his force appeared to know what these things were. So there was clearly a lot of knowledge was being withheld from the Tau by the ethereals. And when he regained consciousness with this kind of profound understanding, he noticed that all the ethereals that were associated with his fleet, because they come as advisors and what have you, they were all dead. They had all been, or they had all died, and we'll leave it at that. So Farsight,
so many questions,
instinctively knowing what was happening and what was causing it, raced onto the dais and picked up this sword that was in the dais when they arrived. It was just kind of there. Picking it up, he instructed some of his companions to go and get these medallions that were also on the dais. And when he combined the sword and the medallions, it released a huge blast of energy that split the dais in two and destroyed the portal to as now we know, it's a warp portal. And all of the terrible red and then blue monsters started to just kind of dissolve as their link to the warp was severed. Farsight then was, how would you describe it? Miffed at the ethereals and their deceiving ways, and his enclaves, the Farsight Enclaves, are with but not of the Tau Empire. They have effectively seceded from the Tau Empire, and they're their own kind of thing. They will defend the Tau Empire, but not only have the ethereals effectively excommunicated Farsight and all his followers, but in some cases will actively destroy Tau who are trying to join his enclaves. They will actually destroy the ships carrying real flesh and blood Tau warriors and various other castes that are trying to join.
It's like a scaled down version of like heresy in the Imperium or something like that.
It is a little bit, yeah. It is a little bit. Yeah.
But so are they doing that because they don't want Farsight to basically show them that the warp exists and the ethereals know about it? They're trying to keep that secret.
I don't think it's that. I think that they're terrified at losing control over the Tau. So the ethereals, as we kind of hinted at last episode, are a created caste. They just suddenly appeared and they have this diamond-shaped thing in their forehead that is part of an animal, another race, on the other side of the galaxy. So who kind of Legoed those two things together? A Tau and this diamond pheromone thing. And so, so it's this lack of control is what's putting up a wall between the Tau Empire and the Farsight Enclaves.
So Farsight's a bit of a dude then. He's a bit of a righteous G.
He is, yeah. He's also incredibly long-lived. He's now 5 or 6 times the age that a Tau would naturally live to. And it's the same guy, it's the same Tau, and he's a Tau. You see it in his face. You can see it in his Zimmer. He's got this big mecha battle suit that has a Zimmer in front of it. Yeah.
Exactly. With an ear trumpet. What?
Yeah, his ear
trumpet. Ear trumpet.
Yeah. But again, there is a model for Farsight. He is one of the kind of great commanders of the Tau, and he has the mysterious sword and also a small bonsai tree on the base. Not on him.
Inconveniently.
Weird. Yeah.
Cool.
Running into battle with a small bonsai on the top of his battlesuit on his head.
Screaming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bonsai! Kill the bonsai, that's how he gets his power.
Kill my bonsai of regeneration, yeah. So a lot happened there in the first 3 spheres of expansion. The fourth one we'll touch briefly on was a huge fleet of Tau ships launched with this new antimatter engine, which is effectively a pseudo warp drive that they've created. But the entire fleet was lost in an accident. And so it was declared, the entire thing was declared destroyed, and there was great mourning and wailing and gnashing of space camel teeth.
Sounds quite lame. A whole fleet was lost in an accident. That's what the report said. That's what the investigation. That was the conclusion of the investigation from the insurance providers. Lost in an accident, just written off.
Well, you're right to be skeptical, Chris, because what actually happened is they punched a wormhole or web way thing, a wormhole through space, and they appeared at the Nemyar Atoll on the far side of the Great Rift. So about the same again on the map, the same again from the Tau Empire to the Rift as the Rift to, directly north.
Equidistant.
Directly north. Sorry, where did they appear? What was it place called?
So you go from the place called the Chalnath Expanse. It's not on that map, helpfully. But if you look from the Tau Empire to the Great Rift, and if you do that distance again straight up, that's roughly where they are.
Near Attila.
Yes.
Just past the YMCA monolith.
Your mama
monolith.
Right. YMCA.
Your mama's monolith.
Your mama's monolith. And so then, thusly, the 5th sphere of expansion was a backup fleet sent to where the 4th sphere of expansion ended up. And so there's now a pocket universe, another empire of Tau around the Nemyar Atoll. And so now we have kind of 3 distinct areas of Tau influence. One is the Tau Empire proper, the second then is the Farsight Enclaves, and the third is the Nemyar Atoll in the Chalnath Expanse. So, you know, it really is an up-and-coming faction within 40K. The 5th sphere was arrived into the Chalnath Expanse to be faced with the nascent Tau Seps under siege by the Death Guard, by the Chaos Space Marines who are dedicated to Nurgle. Again, this will be another 2 or 3 episode Jackson when we deep dive into it, but that area, now known as the Startide Nexus, may have been part of the plan of Tau-Va, the goddess of the greater good, because as it turns out, it was Tau-Va who redirected the 4th expansion, the 4th sphere expansion fleet to that area of the galaxy. And ultimately, this is really like reading the last page of the book, but ultimately, like at the end of that great kind of campaign in the start of the battle for the Startide Nexus, the commander of the Death Guard forces flees on his enormous kind of flagship. And as it translates into the warp, Tau-Va turns up and snaps it in half. literally this many-armed Tau
you
goddess just grabs the spaceship and destroys it, which I think is just,
Wow.
that's an epic end that I've now spoiled. You're welcome.
What, for
Wow.
being a quitter? That's what happened.
For being... That's it, yeah. No, you should have stayed and fought. I mean, I don't like a faction, but yeah, I could have respected someone who fought to a standstill. And so the 5th expansion is still going, although it is slowing down with the kind of destruction wrought by the Death Guard and the resources available to the commander Shadow Sun, who is the commander of the 5th expansion. The 6th sphere of expansion is currently being planned by the Ethereal Supreme, the kind of head honcho, the head Taucho of the Tau Empire, Aun'Va. Aun'Va is an interesting character insofar as they don't really exist anymore. It's an ethereal who was injured and died, but again, much like Commander Puretide, their consciousness was transferred to an AI kind of structure, and they exist only as a hologram on this kind of floating throne. So very much like the weird priest guys from Halo, do you know, the kind of
Oh, yeah.
3 hovery guys.
Yeah.
That throne, and yes, and so Aun'Va is defended at all time by kind of elite Tau warriors in the most ridiculous fucking outfit you could possibly imagine in 40k, and they are, the one golden rule is no one's allowed to touch Aun'Va because your hand would just pass straight through him. But
Surely,
no one's allowed or no one can?
surely that makes no difference then. Surely, I mean, I would actively encourage it. Yeah, go on, touch him.
In fact, you win a big prize if you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I
yeah, so
suppose,
it's like a fair ride.
I suppose I've left this out. No one knows he's dead.
Oh,
There's maybe 6 or 7 Tau, almost all ethereals, who know that he's dead. It would come as a cultural kind of shattering if they discovered that their Supreme Ethereal had died. Why he wasn't replaced in the normal kind of inheritance process that they have for when Tau die and someone else takes over? Maybe he's just a douche.
I'm learning all this stuff about like more deceit and all this shit. I'm starting to unlike the Tau. In the space of one episode, I've gone from absolutely loving them to not liking them quite half as much now. There's a lot of deceit and lies, especially with the ethereals. I feel like the ethereals are kind of pesky, up to no gooders. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, who could have thought that space communism would go wrong?
Right. Yeah. I feel like they're like the main benefactors to like a political party. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. There's always an elite
desperately
group,
trying
always.
they'll pay whoever they need to pay to stay in power and to twist arms and to change manifestos and legislation,
But
and
that
lie
doesn't
about
change,
dead leaders.
It doesn't change the fact, Cral, that if you are a human being in the 41st millennium, your best chance at a normal life is with the Tau.
With
Like
aliens, yeah.
Where else are you going to go? I will.
Normal. Well, normal's relative. A normal human life is oppression and fear in the Imperium, but a subjectively better life might be with a bunch of aliens with slits in their head.
A better day-to-day life.
But lies, Ben.
I'm okay with
maybe
the lies.
comfortable and happy and well-fed and warm and cozy and dry, but you'd be lied to.
I will suck on that communist teat, Chris. I don't give a fuck.
Just a small point of correction. We're actually in the 42nd millennium now.
Oh, well, that changes everything.
Oh,
That changes nothing, Darren.
down with the communists.
Spoken like a true ethereal. Oh, I may have made a little mistake there, my fellow citizens.
Just don't touch me.
Your leader might actually be dead.
I think of the ethereals as that hypnotist from Little Britain. Look in the eyes, not around the eyes, look in the eyes, and you're back in the room.
Oh, brilliant.
So Tau, and that's
boo.
We've gone
From
through their
yay to
culture.
boo, from my
We've
point of
gone
view.
through their kind of spheres of expansion, which is the pet name I have for my testicles. And then I thought we'd close out with a quick look at their forces, the kind of stuff you can get on the tabletop. And so just running from top to bottom, we've mentioned some of the special characters already, which are Farsight, Shadow Sun, and Aun. Those are the kind of three named characters that you can have. So, leader of the Kill All the Ethereals Enclaves, the leader of the Tau Empire's forces, military forces, Shadow Sun, and then Captain Hologram himself, the sneaky Ethereal.
What does
holds out information?
does Aun'Va? What's the benefit of having him on the tabletop? Is he a kind of a buffing thing, or is he actually?
He is, yes, yeah. There used to be rules where if he died as well, or if he was destroyed in battle, the Tau Force would take a leadership debuff. But as he's the kind of ultimate, it would be like fighting next to your Pope, if you can imagine.
Hilarious.
you might fight a little bit. I mean, he's all right in his kind of bulletproof minibus, but you'd fight a little bit harder if your leader is around you.
I'd argue that Aun'Va is significantly more bulletproof than our Pope would ever be.
Yeah.
All his two bodyguards during the battle must be like saying to all the other Tau around them, like, don't look at him, otherwise they're just going to see like bullets and lasers fucking swinging through him. Be like, that guy what's going on over there? Like, am I tripping?
Right, so I'm just sending you guys the three special characters, just so you get an idea of how cool Farsight is in his red battlesuit, and how ridiculous Aun'Va is in his chariot of holograms and his two bodyguards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, if you look at his two bodyguards in particular, someone was not doing their best work. This is not your best work, Chris.
Yeah,
they kind of look like Tomb Kings or something.
A little bit.
Yeah,
Was it the Necrons? They've got the Necrons kind of vibes on them. Yeah,
they do look like they're on their way to Mardi Gras.
Yeah, they're not particularly like aerodynamic, are they? Strong wind. That's all it's going to take to knock those guys.
I mean, maybe they were designed specifically to keep people away, just kind of socially.
Yeah, that Farsight model is spectacular, isn't it?
It's really good. Yeah.
Absolutely spectacular.
So those are the kind of three named characters. They're the kind of main ones. There's another couple as well, but we'll leave them for the deep dive. In terms of bog standard command figures, you can have an ethereal. You can actually table an ethereal in your force. There are Tau commanders in these big battle suits that can lead your force. But you also have something called a Fireblade, a Cadre Fireblade, who is an infantry Tau, a fire warrior, who can lead and buff squads of fire warriors, strike teams, and breachers as they make war, I suppose, or play the game. It's another way of saying that. In terms of your foot troops, Chris had highlighted the Kroot earlier on. Those are the kind of melee specialists of the Tau Empire, and they come with Kroot Hounds,
Croutons,
Gorillas, whose names I've forgotten, Kroot Badgers.
Nice.
And the Krootoks, which are giant Kroot with guns on their back, ridden by regular Kroot. And just leave that as is.
That's right, because the Kroot can kind of diverge their own genetics and become more bestial or something else, can't they?
Exactly right. And the Kroot Hounds and the Kroot Oxes are fantastic examples of a kind of evolutionary dead end. They can't change any more than they have already. So those are the close assault troops of the Tau. They do have a lot of Tau-flavored kind of fire warrior-esque squads. You have the bog standard strike teams, which are the kind of line troops. You have breacher teams who carry plasma shotguns, and they're the ones that breach buildings and spaceships, boarding actions, those kinds of things.
Nice.
And both of those are accompanied by drones of various flavors, either kind of R2-D2 style missile pods or hovering drones that provide invulnerable saves against kind of super duper weapons, and indeed drones that will help with targeting or give you a power boost briefly. As the fire warriors are the line troops and the breachers are the kind of close assault specialists, in terms of breaching enemy structures and ships, you do also have the pathfinders. And these are the scouts of the Tau Empire. And they're very lightly armored, but they have railgun sniper rifles that can destroy heavily armored troops and enemy commanders quite easily. Again, they're accompanied by different types of drones to give them more stealth. So, probably kind of a drone that hovers above you and puts down a cardboard cutout of your enemy. And
I was going to say, to get more stealthy, don't you want to lose gear rather than have a floating robot? I need to be more inconspicuous. Give me that sci-fi wicked-looking floating robot that's just going to buzz around my head with a klaxon.
But even more stealthily than that are the entire squadrons of drones that you can field. And these are just effectively gun drones. So it's a drone with two big carbine rifles stuck to the bottom of it, and you can field huge numbers of these in different squads, and they are treated exactly as if they were just standard Tau troops.
Cool.
And so they're used to augment forces where you don't want to put actual Tau, or you might not have enough specialists of that kind of caliber that you need. There are other pairings of Tau and drones. The most effective, I think, are the sniper drones, which are a Tau operator who controls up to three drones that have these railgun sniper rifles attached to them. And so
amazing.
They effectively F your A from a distance. F your A from a D. The main show of any kind of Tau force, however, is the battle suits.
Tau elephant.
The mecha.
Sorry. Yeah.
And so there are several different battle suit styles, and each one of those styles has 4 or 5 different variants available to it. Most of which have models, although some of them have been removed because they were kind of Forge World models, which is the kind of specialist modeling arm of Games Workshop. So the most common is the XV8. That's the standard crisis battlesuit, it's called. And it's got 3 hard points on it, upon which you can put weapons and equipment. So some of the most common are a combination of a burst cannon, which is a rotary plasma gun, and an actual plasma cannon on the arms. And then on one of the shoulders, they'll put some sort of targeting device or a missile pod or what's referred to as a seeker missile. So a lot of these troops, and the Pathfinders in particular, have these things called marker lights, where they effectively, it's a laser-guided missiles, and the marker lights, you splash the target with the marker light, and then you can call down seeker missiles, which just absolutely destroy whatever they hit.
As in call that like an orbital bombardment?
Or from the back of crisis battle suits or other suits, yeah.
Ah, okay, cool.
But you do get off-table support in terms of like rail guns and missile pods and that kind of stuff as well.
But you have to bring that with you. So like you have to bring
it's in the car.
Ship. Exactly. Yeah. Excellent.
Have to put the back seats down for it. It'll fit in your car. Yeah.
You got to open the sunroof, otherwise it blasts the fucking top of your car off, isn't it?
There are many variants of the XV8, and again, the most common being the XV88, which is referred to as the broadside battlesuit. Now, this battlesuit has two pairs of weapons. It has a pair of missile pods, which are great anti-infantry because they fire out tons of rockets at their enemies. But they also have twinned railguns, and invariably these are railguns mounted under their forearms, and these can punch a hole through a Land Raider. They're incredibly powerful, and they can be fielded in squads of up to 3. Again, each battlesuit can be accompanied by 2 types of drone, providing either communication or accuracy or power, or in fact a shield, allowing your suits to survive. And sometimes even missile pod drones as well. We then move on to the stealth suits, which are sneaky bastard Predator style camouflage, where they're able to go invisible largely. And so there's 2
like
real
the
kind
hollow
of
suits of the space jesters, that kind of thing.
No, because those are more concealment rather than invisibility. With the Tau stealth suits, they're actually covered in this type of specialized technology that projects whatever's behind them in front of them, and vice versa.
Yeah, sure.
So they just kind of blend seamlessly into the surroundings. Those are really sort of assassin-y style Tau battle suits because they're small. All of the ones we've discussed so far have a single Tau pilot, and these stealth suits are used to flank around or to sneak into enemy emplacements and take out either vehicles or leadership. So you see a lot of kind of melt-a-gun, melt-a-cannon style weapons on these small stealth suits, again accompanied by drones. And all the battle suits we've discussed so far have jump packs as well, so they're able to fly or jump across Imperial statues in a single bound. That kind of idea. Very mobile. The other kind of scout stealth suit of note is the Ghost Keel battle suit. And I think this is the most badass looking one that they've got. And that really does look like a mecha straight out of an anime or a manga. And it's really that is the assassination, the destruction by stealth battlesuit that the Tau have, where it can bring incredible firepower to bear on its target, and has a lot of communication equipment in it as well to direct fire onto the bases of the enemy. Mr. Ben?
Do those stealth units remain in stealth when they fire?
Great question. No, is the short answer.
Right.
So they do have to bamf out and then shoot. I think there are some upgrades you can have where you can maintain stealth, but it's a per weapon thing, I think.
And I'm guessing that on the tabletop, that would just translate as, like, obviously the mini's visible on the table, obviously, but you just can't target it. It can't be shot.
Yeah, exactly right. Or there's so many negative modifiers to trying to hit it that it's next to impossible. Yeah.
Gotcha. That's really cool.
The final group of battle suits I just want to talk about are the kind of class 10 and above, which are the Riptide battlesuit, and that is the very large version of the kind of Ghost Keel. It's the largest jump pack equipped Tau battle armor it has, and we're now coming up on the size of an Imperial Knight. So it's not a small thing. And we'll have, a kind of fairly veteran Tau commander inside, and that is a thing that's used. If you remember the Mont Ka, the killing blow, that's the epitome of that style of warfare.
Is that the blunt force approach?
It's the overwhelming firepower. Or rather, I was about to say it has the most weaponry on a Tau battlesuit, but that's not strictly true. But it's right up there. It's the amount of firepower it can bring to bear on a target is staggering.
Eye-watering.
Not all of the armor is classed as battlesuit, as in it has a single pilot and is used as kind of large, monstrous infantry on the battlefield. I'm speaking specifically of the Storm Surge, which is a walking artillery piece that has not only an immense kind of mass driver plasma gun, plasma style gun on it. It also, almost every other inch of it is covered in missile pods. And so it's used as kind of close support and a fire. It's almost used like a fortification, because on the model, if it's firing, it actually has to squat down, and all these little kind of supports come out of its legs to kind of push down into the ground so it doesn't fall over when it shoots.
Oh, that's cool.
Needs an assist.
And so, yes, and so far, everything that I'm talking about has a model, has a miniature that you can put on the tabletop. The final one then is the Tau Nar Supremacy Armor, an example of which we've seen recently on our Discord at the time of recording. And that is the kind of Warhound Titan-sized walking artillery death machine, because the mass driver that the Storm Surge has, the Supremacy Armor has 3 of them mounted on its back. So the battle suits of the Tau Empire are the real kind of elite troops. They are the Space Marines of the Tau Empire, insofar as they're heavy infantry, very mobile, and bring an overwhelming sense of firepower to the tabletop. And I think last month I'd included a kind of glory shot of the army of the Tau in the show notes, and I'll repeat that so you get a sense of the size and number of battlesuits in the Tau army.
So were you saying that the battlesuits as a whole are the
concept of the battlesuits? They are as effective as Space Marines.
The Space Marines, right?
In
okay.
terms of in terms of the effectiveness difference between a Tau fire warrior and a Tau in one of these battlesuits.
Gotcha.
It's that level of difference between an ordinary human and a Space Marine.
Cool. Really cool.
That's not to say that they only have battlesuits. They do have vehicles. They're all grab vehicles, so they're all kind of hovering. They're all land speeder style hovering vehicles. The most common being the Devilfish, which is their APC, and that comes equipped again with a couple of drones and can carry a full squad of fire warriors into the heart of battle. There are variations on
without a drone.
Yeah. Is a Tau without a drone even a Tau?
Precisely.
If a Tau coughs in the forest and there isn't a drone to hear it, did he really cough?
It just reminds me of that Arrested Development thing where Job is reading the menu and everything he says is with club sauce. With drones.
So they do have the kind of concept of tank within the Tau Empire, and that's epitomized in the Hammerhead grab vehicle, which has a turret mounted upon is a railgun or an ion cannon. The railgun on the Hammerhead, I really like it because it can fire 2 different types of round. It can fire a standard kind of sabot armor piercing block of metal, at supersonic speed, or it can fire needles like flechettes at enemies, so you get acupunctured to death at high velocity.
Wow, it's like and is that quite a wide spread then? Is it like
it's an area effect shotgun on the tabletop. Yeah, that kind of idea.
Wow, that's cool.
That's wicked.
Love that. I've just realized you were saying grav tanks. I thought you were saying grab tanks. I was like,
grab
sounds
tanks.
A bit. You don't want to get near those tanks.
They're a bit handy.
Yeah, a bit handsy.
Bit gropey.
Don't go near them at the office Christmas party.
Yeah.
Show me on the toy truck where the tank truck touched you.
So those are the two real mainstay grab vehicles, the Devilfish and the Hammerhead. And in fact, it's one chassis and one has a turret and one doesn't, in terms of just the look of it. They also
Snail,
have...
slug.
Yeah, exactly right. They also have smaller kind of scout hover cars.
With drones?
The Piranha and the Tetra, both with drones.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Extra drones, please.
Don't leave home without them.
And those really are focused on scouting ahead, finding out where the enemy is, and then marking them with this marker-like technology so that missiles can be I saw it on YouTube. What was it called? Warheads on foreheads. Great term. That's what the Tau try and do.
I love it.
They also have aircraft, and so the equivalent of like fighters and fighter bombers, sun sharks and tiger sharks are the two kind of main variations. You do have larger ones like the Barracuda, but I really like these next two Tau vehicles. One is an Orca, which is a dropship, an assault ship. So it's one that can make planetary landings and disgorge several squads of fire warriors. That type of vehicle wasn't created by Games Workshop. It was created by, is it THQ, the computer games company?
Oh yeah, the games company.
When there was a computer game, an FPS called Fire Warrior or Fireblade. Warrior, I think,
yes.
where you played a Tau Fire Warrior.
I remember.
Yeah, and that's where the Orca dropship kind of first appeared and then was made a model. The second one I like, the second aircraft I like, is the Manta. And this is a dropship that is the size of, well, never mind the size. It can carry a full Fire Warrior cadre plus vehicles. It was, at the time, it was the largest kit Forge World ever made, and it was something like 850 quid for this large, it was the size of a coffee table. And so you could fit in four Devilfish or Hammerhead ones, plus a load of foot troops, plus a load of drones, plus a load of Kroot. And it was meant to be an entire company of Tau, plus their support assets coming down. And so really, that's the Tau in 2 episodes. There's a couple of other bits we haven't really delved into, and we can just touch on them now. One is their auxiliary forces. We've discussed the Kroot last episode and a bit this episode. Another one is the Vespid Stingwings, who are an insectoid flying heavy troop associated with the Tau Empire. It's timely to mention them because at the time of record, they're getting their own plastic minis now via Kill Team. And so there's a whole Kill Team squad of these Vespid Stingwings. And they are kind of jump troops, flying troops, that specialize in taking out heavy armor or heavy armored infantry. So their weaponry is all focused on piercing through armor and killing whatever is inside the armor.
So cool.
The other one then is the Guvesa, and those are human auxiliaries. You used to be able to, you can't anymore, I think, but you used to be able to put on the tabletop Imperial Guard squads that were decked out with Tau weapons as part. I think that you could do it in the 3rd and 4th edition. I think you couldn't do it beyond that. But it brought the kind of flavor of the greater good and the absorption of other cultures into the Tau to the tabletop, which I thought was quite interesting. So,
groovy.
Tau.
Bam.
Thoughts?
As I say, thought they were groovy at first, and then the lies and deceit kind of came to the surface, and I've suddenly not so cool, Tau, not so cool. There's a lot of kind of
been ungroovied.
Yeah, deceit going on.
Well, I think if you were a human living in the Tau Empire, you would probably never need to worry about it because you're never going to I mean, you might become an administrator for like your culture's settlements, but you would never get any higher within the Tau Empire than that, because all of the powerful positions are always filled by either ethereals or Tau warriors under, or Tau of any stripe under the thumb of those ethereals.
So it's just clean, easy living for humans. And, yeah.
I mean, I don't know why Chris is so against it, I'll be honest. He's a bit Imperium-y, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't think so, buddy.
Yeah, I like them, man. I think they're fucking banging. I think it's really cool. And it is the antithesis of Warhammer, isn't it? Is that the right term? Antithesis?
That's right, yeah.
Anathema, yeah.
It's the antithesis of grimdark. Yeah.
Exactly. It's so against the grain, and it is kind of quite heavy.
But they've got more in common than you think. Do you not think? Leading by...
Well, there's got to be a bit of excitement in them. It can't be all goody-goody all the way up. Do you know what I mean? There's got to be a big bad internally, because that's just part of storytelling.
That's why the orcs are great, because you just know where you stand with them. Like, there's no bullshit.
It's just fucking chaos. Like, yeah.
Exactly.
No, sorry, Ben. That's chaos.
Again, all right. Okay. I retract my chaos statement, but yeah, no, I think the design of them is wicked, and I love the inclusive aspect, and I like that there's a bit of kind of Japanese Gundam-y sort of design in the bigger mech boys. So
yeah, man, they look wicked. The aesthetic's very, very cool,
and everyone hates them, so I love them.
They are second after orcs. They're my number 2. They're my silver medal.
What about Necrons? Are they 3?
Oh, no, I don't know. They just... I don't know. They weren't different enough. They were just another kind of cliche 40k race for me. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. Fine. You can have orcs. I mean, you can definitely have orcs.
Wait till the next episode.
Oh.
The next episode is our final faction.
For the intro.
Ooh.
For the intro.
Okay.
Nope, that's it. We're pulling the plug. I've had enough.
We've just basically, from a lore perspective, rimmed the entire listening populace.
Well, it would explain why.
For yourself, mate.
It would explain why I woke up this morning with a weird taste in my mouth.
Right. Well, that's that then.
That's it.
Oh, what an anticlimactic ending, and a greater good to you, sir.
And a greater goose to you, sir. Honk, honk.
Honk.
Right, I'm going to wrap up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I'll allow it.
All right, that's all from us. Thank you so much for listening. Details and imagery for the topics we've discussed in this podcast can be found on our website at layingdownthelore.com. We also have all our previous episodes on there, release schedules, and merchandise. Again, if you're keen to support the show, just click on the support us link in the description and give us all your money. Give us all your Tau credits. What's the currency in Tau land?
Flange.
Give us all your Tau flange. We'll be back again soon, displaying just how little Chris and I know about Tau flange economics. Until then, goodbye.
Bye. Tau for now.
Yeah. Oh, you bastard!
Nice.
You absolute bastard! I was just about to go Tau for now. Go away.